So many of you in today's sessions are focused on helping you enhance your own culture and diversity and inclusion. The fact that you're here today shows you realize how important it is. It is an effort that will take time to gel within your organizations, just like any other culture change you implement. So what's the payoff? We know from McKinsey's research that diversity and inclusion play a central role in producing results that improve the bottom line. That's true for our internal operations to recruit and retain the best talent and to keep them engaged with a culture that welcomes everyone's input. And it's especially true with our portfolio company investments. We've learned that companies with at least one woman on the board shows excess performance of 3.5%. And further, companies in the top quartile for racial and ethnic diversity are 35% more likely to have financial returns above their respective national industry medians. You often hear of our CEO, Marcy Frost, say that we are in the people business. And the members we serve, our team of our employees, and the business partners we conduct businesses around the world. As we work to serve the members of both our systems in one of the most culturally diverse states in the country, it is important that our business practices at CalPERS and CalSTRS take their needs into consideration. And even more imperative is that we have a long-term business strategy to secure our members' retirement and health benefit for generations to come. Diversity and inclusion are part of that equation. At CalPERS, we've been building our culture of diversity and inclusion for over 20 years. Within a workforce of about 3,000 employees who collectively speak more than 30 different languages, diversity and inclusion practices have been instrumental in encouraging openness that welcomes input from broad perspectives. That helps improve the bottom line through an increased productivity, creativity, and innovation. And because there's research to prove that companies with diverse board perform better, CalPERS engaged over 700 companies in the Russell 3000 Index that were lacking some form of diversity on their boards. We know our efforts are paying off. Since 2017, 40% of those companies have added a diverse director. The next time you have an opportunity to weigh in on who should, who should be one of your portfolio company board members, I would encourage you to also consider diversity of thought and skills sets. Looking ahead, CalPERS and CalPERS will continue to partner together to increase the disclosure of corporate board nominees. This provides investors with information on gender and racial diversity in addition to the individual attributes. As community leaders gathered here today, we have a unique opportunity to advance the work of diversity and inclusion in the business communities to follow us as we go forward. We're very pleased to have over 400 gathered here today to join in this effort. We have an outstanding agenda that includes exceptional speakers who are true change agents, plus 4 panels tackling different aspects of diversity and inclusion, as well as an insightful fireside chat with CalPERS and CalSTRS Chief Investment Officers. And throughout the day, there will be several opportunities to network and with your colleagues. Before we dive into today's presentation, I would like to quickly acknowledge the CalPERS and CalSTRS board members who are in attendance today. So would each of you stand, please, board members? Thank you. I also like to thank all the external investment managers, consultants, strategic partners with CalPERS and CalSTRS, as well as employee teams from both organizations for being here to participate in this important dialogue. We have members from some of our strategic partners in attendance today, including the Association of Asian American Investment Managers, the National Association of Investment Companies, the National Association of Security Professionals, and finally, the New American Alliance. And one more thank you to the CalPERS and CalSTRS teams for all their efforts to orchestrate this outstanding event. I'm also thankful to all of you for taking the time out of your busy lives to engage with all of us on this important topic. So with that, I will now turn it over to my colleague from CalSTRS, Sharon Hendricks, who will introduce our first speaker. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I appreciate Henry's remarks, and I think it's always great when CalSTRS and CalPERS can partner together. So it's really an honor to be here today and be on the stage with Henry. For me, having a focus on diversity and inclusion is so critical, and I think all workplaces need to be thinking about this. But to make sure that we include diversity as part of our investment strategy is key, and that's why we're here today, is to make the business case for diversity. Many of us in the room think diversity and inclusion is just important, it's a value. But I also think when we work out in the markets, we really have to say there's a business case to be made for why inclusion and diversity is important. So I think we're going to be learning a little bit about that from our speakers today. As the chair of the largest educator-only pension fund in the world, that's pretty heady, CalSTRS, and even more importantly, as a fiduciary of a workplace that's over 70% women, representing a myriad of ethnicities, many who represent first-generation college graduates, working in schools across the state where children identified as English learners speak one or more of the 55 languages identified in the California Department of Education. I'm continually reminded of how barriers to success can be broken and are broken at every stage of life. I'm a community college professor by day, and we work with a lot of DACA students that are working 3 jobs, raising their siblings. And so we recognize that we're dealing with a really diverse culture in California. The future workforce in California, if you look around you, we are diverse and we're growing in our diversity. And so it means that there's unique aspects to the skills and thoughts and perspectives that Californians experience. If we imagine diversity in all its forms as a financial domino effect, a company's bottom line improves, the company is doing well, your investments are doing well, your fund is doing well, and significantly for our members at CalSTRS, teachers have a secure retirement. I wake up every morning as the chair of our board thinking, my job is to make sure the teachers in the room, I know Karen Yamamoto, there's some retired teachers, to make sure that you know that you're going to get that pension check every month and that you can retire with dignity. We have academic researchers, investment industry professionals, social scientists, and CIOs who will share with you today their empirical research and real-life experiences on diversity and inclusion's positive investment return. While they'll be feeding you a trader's desk full of information, don't forget to ask yourself and your colleagues, why do you think that we should be focused on diversity? It's important for it to just not be a PC conversation. It really needs to drive how we do business. Well, here's a reason. You're going to be listening to Dr. Anthony Hesketh later on today, and he's reported that companies who reported deeper and wider levels of human capital management had a return on invested talent, or ROIT, of £3.17 for every £1 invested. So I know Kirsty's in the room as a Brit. That translates to us Americans as $4 for every $1 invested. Translation, companies who have lower levels of human capital disclosure have an ROIT of 1.17 pound to £1. So that's, if $4 to $1, $1.50 to every $1 invested if you don't focus on human capital. So there is an investment case to be made for why diversity and inclusion just basically makes more money for companies. And for us as an institutional investor, that's what we're focused on, is trying to make more money for teachers' retirement, but to do that in a way that is inclusive and diverse. Before I introduce this morning's keynote speaker, here's a sampling of what CalSTRS is doing to change the faces we see and the minds we trust in the financial industry. First, we practice what we preach. Gender diversity in the internal management of our investments at CalSTRS is 46% female. 6 of our 11 investment directors are women. 6 of our 11 investment directors are women. I think it's important when we think about diversity, it's not just how many women do you have in your organization, but how many women do you have that are decision makers, who are leaders and leading teams? So I'm really proud of that. And I know Chris gets embarrassed when we do this, but Chris Ailman, our CIO, he looks at himself as the captain of a team and it's all about his team, but teams need leaders. And I really just want to shout out to Chris. You're a phenomenal CIO. We're so proud of you. The teachers of California are proud of you. And I think he's really led the charge on diversity and inclusion. When you meet our staff, it's reflected in our staff team. So really appreciative of your leadership, Chris. 50% of the internal investment staff identifies as an ethnicity other than white. New language in our corporate governance principles allow staff to take stronger stances on our proxy voting of boards that lack diversity. It's been a busy proxy season, and we've been very active on this particular issue around diversity. CalSTRS will hold members of the board's nominating and corporate governance committee accountable, and if necessary, the entire board, if there has not been sufficient progress in diversifying a company's board. 2 of our investment directors, June Kim, #rockstar, and Geraldine Jimenez, along with several other women among our investment staff, are members mentors of high school girls taking part of Rock the Street, Wall Street, a financial literacy program designed to spark girls' interest in finance and to expand their perceptions of a person who works, a person who works in finance looks like. So we've had students in our CalSTRS building. There's a focus on trying to get young girls really thinking about and looking at models of women in investing. And I'm really proud of the work that CalSTRS does with that. So I think you get the idea. Change doesn't just happen. We as an organization need to lead and to be active. We need to stretch our imagination. We need to put ourselves on the front lines. We need to raise our voices, our texts, our social media, our dollars to make change happen.